a video on a curry. I haven't got exactly the ingredients that I wanted to put in the curry, but I have got some substitutes, and I had a bit of a clear out in the freezer, and I found some chicken thigh meat, which is off the bone. So there's about 450 grams of that. I've already marinated the chicken in some ground coriander, although I would have preferred curry powder, but I didn't have any curry powder, but I had some ground coriander, so that's fine. I had a little bit of chili as well, so there is 450 grams of diced thigh meat, and there is about a heaped dessert spoonful of coriander, a tiny amount of chili, like a quarter of a teaspoon, because it's quite a hot chili, and I've got some cardamom pods, so there's 3 smashed cardamom pods in there as well. That's been marinating since last night, so for like a good 12 hours. I've got some homemade yogurt, which is nice and thick. What you can do if you're buying cheap yogurt, always buy the full fat stuff. Don't buy the zero fat kind of stuff. It's a bit of a waste of time actually, and it doesn't really taste of anything. And they put other things in it to compensate for the fat. So you're best off with the full fat stuff. I made that myself. So if you're buying yogurt and it's not particularly thick, because it wants to be kind of quite thick yogurt, what you can do is you can put the yogurt through. You can put it in a cloth, and what happens is some of the whey from like that kind of liquid comes out of the yogurt and it thickens it up. I might use some of the whey if the yogurt's a little bit too thick, to kind of thin the curry down a little bit. Yes, so we're going to put in about half that ginger, which is like about like a big thumb of ginger in there. We've got a couple of onions, a couple of cloves of garlic. We're going to use the cheap rice because I haven't just used it as just normal rice yet. I've used it in other things, but we'll have a go at just making normal rice, see how that kind of cooks. The recipe that I was looking at called for ground almonds. I haven't got any ground almonds in the house, or the second substitute would have been coconut. I haven't got any coconut in the house, or coconut milk, or coconut flour, or desiccated coconut. I haven't got any of those. But what I have got is I've got some smooth peanut butter, or I've got some tahini. Tahini's kind of quite expensive, and you kind of have to go to bigger supermarkets to get it. So I think I'm going to use the peanut butter instead of the what I would have used the coconuts or the ground almonds. So it's pretty straightforward. So we'll be frying off the onions with the garlic and the ginger, and then we'll be adding in the chicken that's already going to be marinated in the yogurt. So it needs to be in the yogurt for a good couple of hours. So it's already marinated, so lots of the flavours of the spices will have got into the chicken already. So then we're going to mix that into the yogurt. There's about 400 grams of yogurt. So that in there. So it's kind of a little bit like a korma or a pasanda. Is that what it was called? I was looking at different recipes, but that would be fine. So we're going to mix the yogurt in, and what the yogurt does is it wants to tenderize things as well, and also protect the meat. So it's skinless and boneless. So I reckon if you were using, I don't think we need any more yogurt. We might need to let it down with a bit of the whey that's come out of it as it's cooking, but that's kind of quite thick. So if I was using whole thighs or whole legs of chicken, I reckon that a kilo of chicken with the skin and in the bones on is about 450 grams. So there's about 450 grams, so that equates to about a kilo's worth of chicken thighs with the bone and the skin. You don't want the skin, you want to take the skin off, but bones in a curry, if the meat's still on the bone, it's actually a good thing. But I haven't got any chicken still on the bone. I just happen to have this in the freezer, so that's what it's going to be. So that's going to sit and marinate for a couple of hours. You can marinate things too long, but the yogurt for a couple of hours will be fine. So that's pretty straightforward. So that can all sit as is for the moment, and then we'll come back when we're ready to start frying things. Onions have been chopped, and garlic and ginger have been pureed. I used one of those to puree the garlic and the ginger. So they've all been fried in a little bit of oil and a little bit of salt. They've just got a little bit of colour on them, but they've now sweated down and become a little bit sweet. So we'll add the chicken and the yogurt mixture. and we'll turn up the heat. I'm going to add a little bit of, we'll get it up to temperature, and then I'll add a little bit of the peanut butter, and then we might just add a little bit later on. I'm not going to season it just yet. We'll give it a bit of a cook, and then we'll taste it once the chicken's cooked. You don't want to be tasting that now, because it's raw chicken. So we'll wait until the chicken's cooked, and then we'll give it a taste once all the flavours have kind of got together. But it's going to be, thigh meat and leg meat takes a lot longer to cook than breast meat. Basically with breast meat, as soon as it's cooked all the way through, it's tender, whereas you just need to give thigh meat a little bit longer than that, just to make sure it's tender. So we'll fry it like this, and then what will happen is the yogurt will split and it'll carry on cooking, which is what we want. We don't normally want things to split, but it's fine. And then with the rice, I think I'm going to cook it like normal rice, so we'll kind of see what happens with it. I've got a feeling that it'll want to go quite sticky. Will the rice, but we might use that to our advantage. So we'll put in 2 teaspoons of peanut butter to start off with, which is going to give it a satay type of flavour and enrich it as well. I'm not sure you'll be able to really taste it over the spices and things, but it'll give a nice background flavour. Yeah, so I think this rice, if I don't wash it, it's going to go sticky, and I think we'll play on that. So instead of having like free running grains of rice, I think we'll agitate it just as it's finishing cooking. We'll agitate it a little bit with the spoon, and then it'll make it sticky. So it'll be sticky rice, which I think will be kind of quite nice. So we'll bring this up to temperature. I'll stop the video because you don't need to see this frying, and I've nothing much else I want to say about it. We'll bring it up to temperature, turn the video off, and then we'll come back when it's split, and then we'll turn the temperature right down, put a lid on it, and get it cooking away. We've got the whey from the yogurt in case we need to let it down. There's no point adding water when I've got something that's yogurty tasting type of thing, so we don't like wasting all that. But anyway, so stop the video for the moment, we'll get it up to temperature, and then we'll come back when it's split. Have a look. So it's come up to temperature, and it's cooking away. It's going to be a good 45 minutes, an hour. That's fine. Don't need to add any more liquid to that. If anything, it'll probably benefit from some of the liquid evaporating off. We'll give it a quick taste, because there's no danger anymore that the chicken's going to not poison us, but give us food poisoning. Needs a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper for good look. Doesn't need any more peanut butter, doesn't need any more spices. So what we will do is move it onto the back burner just so it's cooking a little bit more gently. So that's it for the moment. Curry is ready. I've just added a little bit more of the whey just to thin it down a little bit, because I don't want it too thick, so that can sit on the back, cooking away nicely. So rice, bog standard way of cooking rice. There's a million ways to cook rice. All of them are correct. That's all I'm going to say about cooking rice. However, I do the 2 parts water to 1 part rice. We'll see how this rice goes. It's a little bit temperamental, if I'm honest. I've had problems with it in the past, so we'll see how it goes. So we might need to add a little bit more water. We might stir it around just to make it sticky rice. So boiling salted water, double the amount of water to rice, rice in, up to the boil, moving the rice around once, just so it doesn't clump together. Any more moving than that's going to make it go sticky before we want it. And then as soon as it's come up to the boil, lid on, lowest heat until it's cooked. Different rices take different amounts of time. This is long grain rice, which will be different to anything other, like basmati or short grain rice or all those type of things. I will add, also depending on the age of the rice as well, what used to be common practice with the I was chatting to a Pakistani lady in the local supermarket, and she said that what they used to do is they used to buy when money was a bit tight, they would buy, and they couldn't afford expensive rice, they would buy cheap rice, and they would keep it for 12 months. And then what that would do with the aged rice would make it a lot easier to cook and a lot fluffier. So you'd buy the cheapest rice that you could get your hands on, stick it in the cellar up in the loft for a year, and then it would be like a really good quality rice afterwards. I don't know why, but she knew what she was talking about. She was very knowledgeable about curries, and she was a joy to talk to. But that's what they used to do. So potentially, this might just be really young rice, and older rice might be a lot better quality. So it's up to the boil. Turn down, lowest heat, lid on. We'll see how we go. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on the rice and its age. So the water from the rice has now all evaporated, as you can see in the bottom. It just needs a little bit more cooking, if I'm honest. So we'll add a little bit of water, and we'll give it a bit of a stir over the heat, and then we can see if we can make some sticky rice out of it, which I think will be quite nice. A bit more water. What you're doing when you're stirring rice is you're agitating the gluten in it, so it'll go glutinous. So as you can see there, it's starting to form more like a risotto. So the more you stir, the more it'll become like a risotto. So that's alright, just need a bit more salt. Turn off the heat. Lid back on for a second, just to make sure the salt melts. The curry is ready, nice and tender. The sauce is thin enough because we're having sticky rice, so we just kind of want that. So we need a bowl. We want some rice. It would have, the rice wouldn't have gone sticky if I'd have just left it. If I'd have just served it out of the pan, it would have all stayed like individual grains. But because I stirred it, that's why it went sticky. So there we go. Bit of curry on top. And I've already tasted it, so I know it's going to taste nice. So there we go. 3 good portions from the curry. Yeah, 3 good portions from the curry. Like 150 grams worth of meat per portion. And obviously I didn't cook 3 portions of rice. I cooked 2 portions of rice, so like half a cup per portion, something like that. I don't think. Can we zoom in? There we go. It's alright, isn't it? You know, it's a bit beige. It could do with a few herbs, but this is it's cheap food. So and there's no herbs outside at the moment, so I didn't want to buy any. So that's it. That is a cheapy Korma curry made with things that we had around the house rather than the proper recipe.